We got so much news. We moved UFC shenanigans to the top of the show. Well, following beer news, of course, because we have so much news to talk about, and this is where we end up spending most of our time, anyways. So you'll see. You guys give us some feedback. Let us know if you like this UFC at the top, and if not, you can just skip chapters on the YouTube video, as long as you remember to put chapters on there.
I didn't see
All
that
right,
yet.
so
I didn't see that functionality yet, but we'll figure it out.
oh, really? Oh, man, we have to check back at that. All right. So let's start, shall we, with last week's fight night.
Oh my god! I
So
almost wait. Did you just say? Did you just say you fell asleep? Oh, I'm. Oh, you didn't fall. Okay. Okay, my bad.
I could have easily fallen asleep. If I didn't have a show to produce and put together, I could have absolutely fallen asleep. So
Man.
I guess you could call that a fight. So headlined by Tyron Woodley versus Gilbert Burns. The Beard, give us your thoughts, man. What did you think about that?
Ah, man. It's just a really weird thing. Bravo to Gilbert, dude. Gilbert went out there. He had a goal. He followed his game plan. He did it fantastic. He looked like a championship fighter, and everybody, I think, agrees that, he did what he had to do. But kind of like this almost actually like brings his performance down a little bit. Is Woodley? Yes, he was a champion. He didn't look like a champ. He hasn't looked like a champion in his last like 4 or 5 fights, in my opinion. I don't think he's been
Yeah.
doing anything. I don't think he deserves to get the recognition that he got. Shout out, he's cool, man. He's got a lot of different stuff going on in his life. He's busy and everything. That's great, man. That's awesome. But
Right.
if you're going to talk all that smack and then you come out there, you throw 25 punches
Oh my
and
gosh.
and you get pushed up against the back of the cage and you get, you know, beat up basically. It
Oh,
was
so
just so one-sided, man. So one-sided.
yeah, it really was. I was like, it described it as like a deer in headlights, man. Like no action whatsoever. I saw this. I think it actually came from another MMA UFC focused podcast. They posted something on Instagram. I'm trying to think of their show name. I'll have to look it up so I can give them a shout out. But they posted something on Instagram, and it was like a PS2 controller or a PS3 controller, and it was like Tyron Woodley's game or something like that. And literally every single button was either haymaker, overhand right, or
Yeah.
back up against the cage. That was all it was. There
That's
was no
all
other
he's
options.
done. That's all
Yeah,
he's been
that's
doing.
It's like he comes out in the first round and he's waiting for that and he's looking for that knockout punch, that highlight punch. But I'm like, dude, you got to work for that, man. These are professional fighters that are looking for. They know you're famous for your what do they call it,
Mhm.
the equalizer or the
Mhm.
something like that. I don't know.
I think it's the equalizer,
His
yeah.
overhand right that's so famous or whatever. And it's just crazy, man. Like what are you waiting on? I've never seen somebody with that high level of MMA fighting not even throw a jab, not even a single jab. He just waiting for that overhand right and is backing up to the cage. So
I just
yeah,
I just don't think he deserves like that level of recognition that he got, man.
right,
The
right.
the skill was just not there. So he needs to go back to the drawing table. Like you said, you can't just rely on one skill set where it's just an overhand right hook. He needs to be able to set those up. Fake some takedowns, whatever you got to do. I hope
Exactly. Yeah.
I hope that he comes back with a little bit more strategy and can put things together better for his next fight. Or if he's not going to do that, I don't want to see him fight anymore. It's so boring.
It really is boring, man. And I feel bad for the guys who come out there and they're expecting like a big brawl. Like Gilbert Burns or Kamaru Usman. I mean, like it's like they're fighting a dude that's sleepwalking. It seems boring for them as well. So, like we talk about what's next for Tyron Woodley. There's talks of him fighting Colby Covington. So again, we're talking a super aggressive fighter. Um, is he just gonna freeze up again? If that fight actually happens, what's he gonna do? What's his game plan gonna be? It's just like when he gets in front of these aggressive fighters, he just doesn't know how to handle it anymore, which is kind of, and they describe him as like a counter puncher, a counter fighter. But I didn't see any counter action whatsoever. So, it's interesting.
Yeah, dude. He's got to work on it for sure.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I don't want to give him any more thought because he doesn't deserve it at this point. I don't think.
Yeah. So what about for Gilbert Burns? I mean, I was pretty impressed with his with his game plan. He was pretty impressive. So I mean, what's next for him?
I I actually I'm a little bit torn here, right? Because he's just kind of like appeared out of nowhere, and I don't know if like he deserves it over some of the other guys. Like, think about it, man. Jorge Masvidal has been doing this for so long, and he's been told for like 2 years now. Oh, you're gonna get the title fight next. He won that badass belt or whatever, and
Yep.
it's like he kind of deserves it. So, uh, if they're gonna give it to Gilbert, shame on the UFC. I feel like Jorge gets it. But at the same token, Gilbert Burns, he really performed. I just think he needs to fight. Maybe he needs to fight Jorge Masvidal, and then they go for the champion. Or Jorge fights Usman, and then however that comes,
Right.
whoever wins that one fights Gilbert. Um, it's just that, come on. This
Yeah.
whole like
It's
jumping
too
up
early.
so soon it's not fair. It's not fair.
It's not at all. And I think it's all coming back to money. And speaking of Jorge and the potential title fight, he's the first person we're going to talk about in the show tonight who's
Yeah.
wanting to tear up his contract essentially with the UFC. So he's all over social right now he's saying drop me from my contract. If you're not going to pay me what I deserve to be paid, then I'm gone. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that all of the UFC fighters are significantly underpaid. I think that it's unfair to them. The level of risk that they're taking on to go out and do this, they're not being compensated nearly enough. Compared to like other sports athletes out there that get paid millions of dollars and aren't taking nearly as much risk, aren't going to experience the same diseases, maybe not diseases, but same disabilities. Disabilities is the right word. Later on in life. Um, so I respect Jorge Masvidal. If they don't pay him, then yeah, he should leave. He should go somewhere else. There should be a little bit more competition for these fighters out there to go to another
Yeah, I agree.
promotion that's going to pay them more and treat them fair, protect them.
Yeah, absolutely.